Senator Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Nolen, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
You've been a busy man in front of this committee. Let me just start with a real basic, I'm sure you've covered it, but I'd like to hear it again from you. You know, we've, I think in the last 3 months, we've had 6 near, I don't want to call them collisions, but certainly dangerous circumstances in our public aviation sector. Can you just right now assure the American people that flying aircraft in the United States of America is still the safest way to travel, which I believe it is, and we're still the safest place in the world in which to do that?
Yes, sir. I would just restate what I just said to Chair Cantwell. Yeah, on any given day, 45,000 flights in the U.S., 1.7 to 2.4 million passengers per day. We're at nearly 1 billion enplanements per year. We've gone 14 years without a fatal commercial passenger accident.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood,
Yeah.
knock on steel. We don't take it for granted. But that being said, every time we start to see, so are there trends? We don't know. So one of the reasons I've done an administrative call to action, so we are bringing in our stakeholders a week from today, and we will sit and talk about what are you seeing? And then we'll give them an opportunity to go back to their operation, then come back to us with some concrete example.
In the Marine Corps, we call this a safety stand down.
Yes, sir.
See trends. Is that what you're doing?
It's effectively a safety stand down without a safety stand down.
Okay, good. We need that. I think it's good you're doing that. Let me turn to another issue. My office is constantly fielding complaints with the processing of aircraft registration and clearance for air medicals for pilots, and evidence points to bottlenecks in the FAA offices at Oklahoma City. What can be done to streamline the registry modernization system that certainly, again, all signs that we're hearing about point to a manpower issue, and it's really frustrating for a number of folks in Alaska, but I'm assuming it's an issue that impacts everybody all over the country.
Well, thank you, Senator Sullivan, for the question. I have indeed talked with our AVS leadership, and this is one that I've gotten their commitment, and so you have my commitment that we just need to do better, especially on the registry piece. They've got a plan in place to reduce the number of days for the registry from 180 to 75 by the end of April and continue to drive that down through the balance of the year. And I've also directed them to go back and again ensure that we have the requisite level of staffing to make sure that we can maintain that level of commitment that we owe the flying public and those who need to register airplane. In the medical space,
Yeah.
we've got a good, Dr. Susan Northrop, who's a chief flight surgeon for the agency, has got a good process in place. Still, they're working on technology. In the meantime, our MedExpress is now set up so that a person going for a flight physical can know exactly where they're in the process. So we have made improvements to that system, but we are working on a longer-term improvement. I don't have an exact date, but I'm happy to follow up with you on that to have a replacement for the system. In the meantime, MedEx is given a greater degree of transparency about where a person stands with respect to their medical.
Good. So there's a streamlining effort of the Office of Aerospace Medicine. Of course, we don't want to sacrifice the safety of the flying public, but
That's
it's going to
correct.
be a balance. Is that,
Yes,
is that
sir.
happening then? Is that what you're saying?
It is happening, and we'll just continue to improve it.
Okay. Let me ask one final question that I've had from a couple constituents. We have, I think, certainly more pilots per capita of any state in the country. Americans are clearly living longer. You look at our lifespan. We have a pilot shortage of good pilots. Is there any thought to extending or looking at the issue of mandatory pilot for commercial, mandatory retirement for commercial pilots who can maybe pass a rigorous annual physical, or, I mean, we have a lot of good pilots who are in their 60s and 70s, and what's your, especially when they fly together on commercial airplanes, what's your thinking on that? Isn't that a way to help address get really experienced pilots, address a pilot shortage that I know is impacting the whole country, without impacting safety, but it seems to me there's a solution there that can be smart. Have you guys been thinking about that?
Well, let me just say, sir, it is one that's clearly within the purview of Congress, so we would not make any presumptions in that area. Our goal is to execute the law and execute the statute. So I would just say that
And the mandatory retirement age right now
it is 65.
and don't you think there's pilots who are 66 who are really, really good?
You know, I
Probably
think
some of the best in the country.
if you're asking Billy Nolen what Billy Nolen personally think, but I think as an agency, our goal is to follow the law.
I know, but you actually have a lot of experience. So let me get your personal opinion on this.
My opinion, I flew till I was, I'm a pilot, been a pilot for 42 years. In my life as an airline pilot, I would have had to retire at 65. I don't think I'm in a position to offer a personal opinion as the acting administrator on this specific.
Okay, Madam Chair, I think it's a good topic to take a look at.
Yes, so thank you, Senator Sullivan.